All right, boys and girls, we're here to talk playoff stuff. Last year we did it with the two teams that got a bye. We did like one with the one team that got a bye and then one with the other team. But since I have a bye and Unicorn has a bye, we're all here together. We're one happy family
Yeah.
to talk playoffs, to talk extra pick bracket, to talk toilet bowl, to talk ultimately grand prize bracket, and to also reveal what that bracket's going to look like since Alan made his pick with me in a previous recording that didn't take place 20 minutes ago. Code Unicorn, how are you gentlemen doing? Everybody good? Everybody happy?
Yeah, we're doing great. I'm just exhausted. Like just life and getting all the
From
things.
fantasy football or life? Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, just everything. I mean, look, fantasy football is work, so
Yeah, it
yeah.
is the truth. The grind doesn't stop, and it's like I was, without spoiling it, I was trying to tell my buddy about this league again. I was trying to tell Storm Code, a friend of ours,
Okay. Yeah.
about the league, and I was like, man, if there's ever a spot, I'd love for you to join. He's like, that sounds like way too much. I'm like, yeah, it is. Definitely more commitment than any other league that I've ever been in, but it's also the most fun I've had in comparison to them.
Yeah.
We'll look at the standings for one last time this season. So Unicorn, you, I, and Alan all took first place in our division very early, held on and never let go. Gets real fuzzy in the middle though, with the inaugurals at 19-9, Buffalo Princesses at 19-9, and Brownout at 18-10. That's why Cam's been complaining, is that he should be a higher seed than Justin Stelly. What do you guys think about that? Have you paid attention to that at all? I know we've got our voting coming up, but I do kind of like what Alan was saying about top three teams, like one from each division should make the playoffs, but the seed shouldn't matter. Do you think this is kind of a testament to that, since the third place team in the Ryan Leaf division would beat a whole division out? Any early thoughts on that from
Yeah,
either
I
of you?
mean, I'm kind of okay either way. I don't honestly have a strong take on it because sometimes divisions are kind of random and like if everyone was kind of even, then you might get a closer records together. And I do
Hmm.
like the overall randomness a little bit, but I do get the argument too. Like it is frustrating for Cam and Brown to see a lower record be above them anyway.
Especially too when they've
Yeah.
got the control of the especially when they've especially when they've got, like, with Justin, oh my god, Justin Selly or Alan McNatt have control over who they play this week. That can be tricky, at the same time, or
Yeah,
frustrating.
that's probably the one point that maybe makes me more think the other way is that that's a big could be a big advantage if there's a lot of injuries and stuff.
Yeah, but if someone gets hurt at the wrong time. But let's take a look at the toilet bowl, and kind of give our thoughts on that. So, Raggy, the Seawards, the Liquidators, and Windlake Flynn, the four teams that made it into the toilet bowl. Are you guys studied on these teams? Not so much. I know that from talking to Alan earlier, he had some words to say, but he wasn't as studied on these teams
Mm.
versus some of the aholics like I am.
Yeah.
Popular opinion is really Liquidators and Windlake Flynn are fighting for 101, 102, and Seawards and Raggy are fighting for that 103. Do you guys think that that's an accurate claim, or would you think maybe not as much? And Code, will start with you on this one, because
I
that's a big claim to write off two of the four teams right away.
yeah, I don't really think that like any one team has a distinct advantage in this. I'd agree probably the Liquidators and Flynn are the front runners for the 101 just because of like I guess the team structure and the depth they have. I mean, Chase's team was able to get it done. Like he put up like what 140 something points last week.
Yeah,
So I mean, if you can just get, I mean, there's variance everywhere. Like you don't know how much they'll score, especially with some of the players they have to start since they're in the toilet bowl. They don't have some of the best players. Um, not it's not entirely true for every team, but um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I had to make a prediction, like I probably gotta go with like Liquidators or Flynn.
right.
But I mean, it's the toilet bowl. Like I don't know what we predicted last year
Anybody's
and how
game.
that ended out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, it's anybody's game.
What about you, Unicorn? Do you think that way? Do you lean a certain way? Do you think? I mean, Flynn's record is worse than the Liquidators by a decent bit, and worse than Raggy's, but he's also in your division. Do you think that that has any credit to maybe he's a bit stronger than what people think?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Plus
well,
four.
I think that's probably affected his record. I think looking at points for, he's kind of in the middle of all the teams, or maybe he's the second bottom or something. But yeah, I don't see anyone with like, oh, this team's way better than the others. Like I think if Webster Tigers had ended up in there, I'd be like, no, that team's just better than those other teams.
Right.
Where these guys, I mean, even like Rick's team, he's got Stafford plays well, Mike Evans puts up a few big weeks,
Yeah.
it's probably good enough to do it too. So
yeah,
I don't think there's a heavy like, oh yeah, this team's definitely the best.
And those three, Seawards, Liquidators, and Flint still have all their picks. Raggy, not that they have nothing to play for other than honor, right? But they don't have a single one of their picks. Do you think that adds anything in there, or it doesn't matter? You're still trying to play well here. He's not going to get anything extra, but you still kind of want to keep the worst teams worse than you, right?
yeah.
Is that feel enough?
I mean, his predicament's kind of weird because I think Chase owns his first.
Yeah.
So, but it's like you still have to play to win. And I mean, is he even going to set his lineup this week? Like, I haven't heard anything from him. I know you haven't. I mean, we're starting to get to the red flag point. So, I know that you're going to monitor it. Blind and I will do that too. But
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully he watches this video.
Yeah. Updates.
I don't know where he's been. I think after the Diggs trade, he just kind of set sail off to somewhere else.
We'll have
yeah,
we'll have an update on that.
I truly don't know.
We'll have an update on that Thursday if we don't hear anything. So we'll keep you guys on the loop. Just because he hasn't been around as much as we'd like him to be. I mean, we want him here, but that is totally up to him. And we had to step in last week for the lineup, and that's not fun, right? So that does it for the toilet bowl. Let's swing on over to the extra pick bracket. Two teams from the Jamarcus Russell division. Dan Flash's Webster Tigers head-to-head in a best-of-3 series. Winner gets 105 instead of 106. They also get 1.13. Webster Tigers still have their first-round pick. Dan Flash's does not have their first-round pick this year. Dan, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have any or many of his picks this year.
Yeah.
Versus the Tigers having them. So if the Tigers can go ahead and win this, that'd be nice because they move all their picks from 106 to 105 instead. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they'd love to have that. But at the exact same time, you also have to think, with Dan having minimal picks, he also wants to get in here and win this bad boy too. This way he can recoup a pick for the first round. Having 1.13 could be awfully nice. I'm trying to pull his freaking team up here to see what he has and doesn't have. Sorry it's taking me so long, the thing. He has his 2024 fourth, that's it. So getting a first-round pick from this would be huge. Taking it away from division rival would be huge. Do you guys have any front runners for this one?
I don't know who necessarily. I feel like this is definitely flip a coin, but I will say you gotta shout out Dan for his effort last week because Henry had a touchdown late, Mostert had 2 late. He got 20-something fantasy points in a matter of minutes. Yeah. Just because of all the touchdowns that got scored in those Monday night games. But yeah, I think this is must-win territory for Dan because he barely missed playoffs. He made a hell of a run on the way, through those last couple weeks. Right. But yeah, Dan cannot lose this. Because it's got some aging assets, and it's you really need to get another draft pick, and this is the best way to do that without mortgaging your soul.
We saw Dan in the grand prize bracket last year. Now he's in the extra pick bracket this year. Do you see him continuing to drop Unicorn if he doesn't win this one and kind of recoup any value, or do you think he stays similar, has a chance to go up? No picks.
Yeah, do you know how much cap he has? I'm not I don't remember exactly what.
I can take a look. So he's got $157 in cap next year. Sorry, this doesn't look pretty on the stream. $157 in cap next year. The Tigers have 158. Raggy 234. A couple negative teams: 217 for Brownout, 102 for you, 46 for Flynn. So he's up there in the cap department. Rick has the most at 390. So he's the fourth highest in cap. So he does have some money to spend, but with his push for all in, it's still scary at the same time to go all in and not make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's probably rough for him, especially like you say, the guys that he has on his roster. Henry, obviously he's playing well this year, but how many years does he have? Cup, I don't know, he looked okay this week, but the few weeks before that, he didn't look great, and I don't know, he's been hurt, so it's tricky. Like you say, he's got to win this, and we'll see. Because I mean, Allen's out now, Taylor's out. Like it's going to be a rough rough sledding for him.
Aaron Rodgers possibly coming back could help him a lot as well. That's something he has been on the roster the whole time. So if Aaron Rodgers does make a miraculous comeback, that could be a nice plug and play piece for Superflex for Dan. But that still remains to be seen if he will actually come back, if it even makes sense for him to come back. All that good stuff.
I will say it'd be hilarious if he gets Rodgers back for the last game and he beats the Webster Tigers with Aaron Rodgers in his quarterback.
That would be awesome.
So
he did beat him twice this year. So Dan in week 2 beat the Tigers.
okay.
Week 3, 218 to 90 in week 3, and just this last week 155 to 114. So 2-0 for Dan, but that doesn't mean much. But it is going to be a fun, it's 5 games potentially these two play against each other this year. I'm sure, and with how adamant Morgan is as to his hatred of everybody, I think I'm sure he has extra incentive to go all out against Dan.
I mean, I also kind of have a hot take. Maybe not really a hot take, but like I know we were talking about if the Tigers were in the toilet bowl, they'd like win it at all. I think that it's better for Morgan to be here. Because if he does win this, he gets 2 firsts, and I know that like if you're in the total bowl, you can compete for the 101, and like that'd be awesome for him. But like he's kind of good at quarterback, you know what I mean? And it's like we don't really know how the draft's gonna work out, but it's like you can get some really nice skill position players with that mid 105 and like 113. Because I'm assuming that like Caleb Williams, Drake May, maybe even Jaden Daniels are all gone by the time 105's there. So
what's also fun, by the way, do you guys know who has Dan Flash's first round pick this year? Morgan does. So Morgan has 105, 106 locked up. So he could have 105, 106, 113. Would you consider, I know this is way too early, we've got playoffs, we've got all these other things to do, but here we go. Would you consider packaging like 105, 106, and 113 for 102 and a flex-worthy type player to get Marvin Harrison, to get Drake May? Like that's a fun question. If you're at 102, would you move back for 3 firsts? Like depending on what your team is. Like I could see Chase making a deal like that with how many deals he's made. I don't know. That's a fun question.
I started to it is a really fun question because like I think in any other dynasty league you'd be like but in like a league like this where it's like almost got like keeper elements and it's got like salary cap to it. It's like you might be better off having the 3 players under nice contracts than the 1.
The 1, yeah.
Kind of, diversify your risk a bit. I mean, I don't know. At the same time, it's like, back last year, like Bijan was hailed as like the next Saquon, and it's like Bijan's been great, but some of the packages people were trading for Bijan were ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a fun question though. Well, I guess we'll get to see how it goes sometime soon. So let's do this. Let's pan over to Alan and the video that we recorded together to get some thoughts on his pick, who he picked as his opponent, and see where his head was at with all that. So let's switch over to that. I'm going to mute you guys. This way you can just kind of chat as it goes, and we'll get that up on your screen. I wish I had like a magic button like this was TV, but I don't. So it's going to take me a second, but we are good to go now. We'll be back in a few minutes. Enjoy the watch. All right, everyone. Got our favorite resident trash talker and immediate apologizer, Alan McNatt, here with us to go over, to talk about who he's picking in his game, but also just to kind of preview and look at the other brackets a bit too. Since he is the 3rd seed, he gets to choose his opponent in the first round of the playoffs. So, but before we kind of do that quick little reveal together, let's take a look at these other brackets. What do you want to do? You want to start with the toilet bowl bracket, or do you want to start with the extra pick bracket and kind of give your predictions on it?
Let's do the toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl first.
Yeah, I feel like those are the teams I know the least about because I I don't associate with losers.
Okay, so you and I can sit here and say and talk our shit, but we were there last year, so I'll keep my trash talk to a minimum there. So we've got Rutro Raggy, your division rival, the Seawards and the Liquidators, my division rivals, and Win Like Flynn there. Do you have any predictions on who you think takes it? Raggy has none of their picks. The Liquidators, Seawards, and Flynn have their picks. And as a former 101 owner, you won this last year. Do you kind of want to see a division rival of yours win it again?
Correction, he did not win this last year. He came in second and made a trade for the 101. Sorry.
Not win it, like, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I think my two division rivals are kind of the favorites to win it. So, in my opinion, it's pretty inevitable. So, yeah, I think it's gonna end up going down to I don't know. Both Dan Flashes and Morgan are
that's the extra pick bracket. So they're competing in a whole other thing. But I know that's the one we talked a lot about before we got this going. So,
gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm pulling for Chase. I really like what he's doing with his team. I like his strategy. I like the absolute bottoming out. But
yeah,
I think right now, I'm just looking at it right now. I think he's on fire with Purdy and Pittman in London. Yep. And Laporta. So I didn't come in thinking he was going to win, but now that I'm looking at it more, I think he's
a favorite.
He might be the favorite. I'm the projection number next to the team makes it a little jaded, but yeah no. I gotta say, if I have to pick one, it's going to be Chase. I don't want to see one of my division mates win it, but
the good news is, like I said, if Raggy does win it, he doesn't have any of his picks this year. So it's like, even if he does win it, he doesn't get any benefit from it. So it doesn't really hurt you at all.
Remind me what the prize is for winning the.
So winning is so if you win this, you get 101 or 201, 301, 401. But Raggy trade all of his picks away. Otherwise, if you come in second, you get the second pick in every single round. A third is third pick in every round. Fourth is fourth round pick. So really, Raggy winning this does nothing for him other than putting the other people behind. But whereas the Seawards, Liquidators, and Flynn are all trying to compete to get this because they want the 101. They want that higher pick. So should be interesting to see. I do think I think the common opinion is Liquidators or Win Like Flynn are fighting for 101 and 102, and Seawards and Raggy are fighting for 103, 104. So it'll this first week super important.
Gonna be on. If I would have known that, I would have been way more hyped when I won this last year. So
yeah.
Show me.
Let's look at the extra pick bracket, and that's your two division rivals. So neither of them making the playoffs, even though they're both pushing for it, kind of probably puts a smile to your face knowing that you're able to kind of smack them down a bit those last 3 weeks of the season. Dan Flash's Webster Tigers. Any thoughts on who takes this one? Both teams built so differently. Dan is so top heavy. Tigers have all of the players on decent deals. You were saying you kind of like the Tigers.
Yeah, no, I know I talked a lot of shit coming into this year about mostly Morgan's team, and it actually ended up, I think, beating me at least once or twice. So, ball props to him. It actually ended up turning out to be a pretty decent squad for a tanker. But, if I look at these two teams, like, side by side where they're at right now, it's actually really tough. Like, the injuries are really piling up for both squads. I got to say, I think I give the slight edge in this to Morgan just because I think he's the least hurt right now. You have Dan Flash. He's got too much firepower on the bench right now. So if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Morgan, which is crazy to say considering what I thought of his team coming in.
Yeah, and I think I could pretty much say the exact same thing that you said. I didn't think much of it coming in, but here he is. He did beat you in both of the games that you played against him this season. Yeah. So, he who laughs last laughs hardest, and you won the division. So doesn't really matter, I suppose, but he did take it to you in those games. So I guess it almost would be a nice homage to pay to him. So the last thing that we're here to talk about is you've got to pick your opponent. You were talking a lot of smack. I know Cam is begging in the league chat for you to pick him. You've got Brownout, who, even though they were the 6th seed, so they barely made it in, they've still got a really impressive points for. You've got the Buffalo Princesses, who have looked really good as well. They're very much, incredible scores or dud scores. Made a move for Diggs near the trade deadline to kind of boost their roster a bit. Have you made a decision? What's your thought process when it came to picking a team?
Yeah. All this started about before the games this week. I got a few texts from one of my league mates begging me to not pick him for this game, and I'm like, okay, that I'm not really thinking about it yet. Just have to let's get to the finish line here, and then we'll think about it. But again, he was begging like a little puppy dog with his tail between his legs, coming to his owner. So I put a pin in that one. I noted it, but I wasn't going to make a decision off that. And then, this week happens, face some injuries. I'm limping into the playoffs. I'm probably the weakest team heading into the playoffs just because of those injuries. And then little Cam, like a little chihuahua with his tail tucked between his legs, comes back, has the nerve to come back to me and ask me to pick him to be his opponent. So I don't know. I that rubbed me the wrong way. There's no way around it. He's not my selection. He can have fun playing K-Migs because I'll be playing codes.
So it is going to be Justin's Deli against the Buffalo Princesses and Brownout against the Inaugurals. That's who I think I would have picked as well. I think the Inaugurals have been surging, and Brownout has incredible points for, and just making them play each other for a third time this year is such a punch in the face, I think, for both of them. So that's kind of nice. And then you and Codes have had these crazy weeks where you put up a lot of points, crazy weeks where you don't put up a lot of points. So that could easily be a game that's like 105 to 102, but that could also easily be a game where it's like 201 to 190 something. How concerned are you with your injuries coming into this week? We were talking, Herbert, DJ Moore, Stroud. Are you concerned at all, or are you still confident that you'll be okay for this week and we'll see next week?
Yeah, no, I'd be lying if I was saying I wasn't concerned. Like, we still don't even know if Stroud's playing. The reality is I could be walking into my playoff game in the same situation that Codes is, only having one quarterback. So it's not ideal. It's something that definitely on my mind, especially like I'm already a very top-heavy roster. All my best players are in my starting lineup. Like, my bench is all crap. So it's definitely concerning, but if there's going to be a path forward, it's going to be through Codes. And I think that's my only path forward, to be honest. Like, I'll be the first to admit my team is not in the best shape right now. So what I deem the weakest link is going to be my move forward.
Yeah. And you still have some studs there, right? So the featured players that we put up there, CD Lamb, Bijan Robinson, Stroud, if he's there, it's not like we were talking your last flex spot's a little scary. But it isn't petrifying, and I think they would be starting on some of the other teams in this league as well.
It's just when I look at Coach's roster, his last roster spot is Jerome Ford. His wide receiver 3 is Zay Flowers. Like, and his RBs, Kyron's pretty good, but Zeke, he's not going to put up another game like last week. So I don't know. I think he's due for a stinker, and I think if I put up a mid performance, I should be able to advance.
Do you have predictions? You want to? So you're obviously, are you picking yourself or predicting yourself to win? I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I'll end up winning. Again, I don't love my chances. This is all predicated on the fact that Stroud is playing,
Right.
Which we don't know yet. So if Stroud's in, I think I'm a shoe-in to win. The other thing that's going to be tough is CD Lamb playing in Buffalo. No idea how that's going to go. I need to look at that could be another, that could be pretty hurtful to my chances. But I think I can win. I think I have the roster to win at least this game. I can't speak for the next one, but we'll see what happens.
What about the other side? Have you looked at the Inaugurals and Brownout enough when you were picking your team to have a feeling on who might win that one, or you just going to kind of just whoever wins wins?
Skimmed it, and I saw that Codes had Josh Dobbs as his super flex, and I immediately picked him. So that was the dead away. So, and plus my history with K-Migs and who was the other one? And Cameron. I think I've beaten both of them. Someone can fact check me, but I don't know. I like my odds with Codes a little bit more.
to fact check you, you did beat Brownout 175. Excuse me, you lost to Brownout 203 to 175. You did beat Cam 152 to 148. So close game there. But
Close, yeah, but can't have that again.
yeah. Well,
And he's
go ahead.
gonna come to the league and say I'm running away from that smoke, but you know what? I have to expose his antics.
Yeah, and this maybe K-Migs will do it. If not, there's still the chance you play him in the final if you make it there, or if he makes it there as well. I also said I would pick him on an earlier streams if he makes it this far, but we'll see if he does next week.
Right.
That's going to do it for you and I, Alan. Anything else? Any other thoughts you've got? Anything else you want to say before we wrap this bad boy?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the end of the year. Looking forward to the off season. Looking forward to the championship. It's going to be good.
All right, man. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks. You guys have a good one. Good night.
All right, so that does it there. Let's go ahead and get this rolling again. Let's get the boys unmuted. Let's get this thing back on the stream. So that does go ahead and set our brackets here. Put that up again. Push buttons here and there. And so that's what we've got in code. Already, you sat there. You put that on as soon as the video started. And you committed to sitting on it the entire time. And mad respect. But is this what you expected? Or is this surprising to you that he picks you here in the first round?
Oh no, I absolutely expected this.
I love the echo.
I expected to be the weakest team here, but I'm glad that I made it here because I sold my first and my second, and I said, you know what, we're down for the playoffs because we play to win. So I'm here, and we're the underdogs, but those underdogs are hungry.
Hungry dogs run faster, bro. Unicorn, if you were in the same position, are you also picking the Buffalo Princesses in your first round? Do you think that's the right pick? Or do you think you try to take, do you overanalyze maybe matchups the inaugurals of Brownout have, thinking you could take them out while they're maybe in a tough matchup? Or do you think this was the right route for Alan to go?
I think it was probably the right route for Alan to go, especially where his teams, he's got a lot of injury questions. And frankly, I fucking love it that K-Migs and Cam have to go against each other. 'Cause either the defending champion loses, great, or K-Migs loses again in the first round.
I know, it's awesome.
And that's like torture at forcing you guys to play each other for just having the three of you have to play each other twice a year sucks.
Yeah.
The fact that it's going to happen a third time for the two of them. And then depending on how this week goes, possibly a third time for you against one of them, depending on who I want to play in the next round. It's a very difficult division and very difficult potential side of the bracket that they're on. When we look at these matchups, it's so close. Like I feel like usually, so like in a lot of these, like in our brackets last year, I felt like it was easy to say, oh, this team's gonna win here, no problem. That team's going to win there, no problem. These are both coin flip games to me. I don't know who's going to win. There's no analysis to it. There's no, well, if this. I think the only thing you could really say for any of the things is if CJ Stroud does play, that gives the Deli a boost. But it's not a situation where it's like this team is going to be fine, assuming this or that happens, or it's a complete shit show. But do you guys have any early thoughts or predictions, not knowing everything?
I mean, I absolutely respect Justin or Alan's decision because I wouldn't want to play the inaugurals. I wouldn't want to play Brownout. So I think this is the best way to go. We play each other and see who makes it out on top.
Yeah, I think so too. What's concerning is again, as I mentioned at the end of that recording, I'm supposed to play Cam. I talked shit in week 3 before he did Cam things, and now I want to stay completely away from that. But it's
root for K-Migs then.
Yeah, I probably am rooting for K-Migs. So God forbid, what does the world come to when I'm actively cheering for K-Migs to win? Unicorn, how do you feel about how this has gone? Like, do you have any
nerves going into it? You've got the bye for the second straight year. Does that give you peace? Obviously, because that's nice. Do you think there's any benefit to being in the playoffs 2 years back to back versus someone like Justin or Justin Zellery who haven't been here before? You know, where's your head at with this week where we just kind of we're sitting around waiting, really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the experience helps, right? You know, but no, honestly, like for me, it's kind of a good time. I'm kind of hoping they arrest Tyreek this week.
Yeah.
Because I don't need him. But yeah, I think I'm super interested to see how this plays out. But as far as nervous, like I mean, my team has shown this year that I can literally beat anyone, and I can lose to anyone, losing to Rick. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. It's a scary range of outcomes because, you know, very similar place for the two of us. Do you have any predictions for what a championship game looks like? Do you think it's going to be the cookie cutter 1 seed, 2 seed? Do you think any of these other 4 teams playing in this first round has a real shot at making it to the final?
I haven't looked like, you know, which teams playing who next week and that kind of thing. So
Right.
I think this week will be a big determinant. I mean, if Cameron beats K-Migs and you still pick him next week, then I'm playing one of Allen or Codes. I feel like I match up okay there, so I'd be more confident. If I have to play K-Mig next week, then I don't feel great about it, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. God, I really have to root for K-Migs, or I'm gonna have to eat my words. And look, I'm totally fine eating the words if it means an easier route to the finals, but I'm also a man of the people, and I don't want to disappoint the people.
Oh.
So,
The beauty of being with the first round bye, though, is that you're at least locked into play for the money somewhere,
Yeah.
whether that's in the championship or in the third place game.
yeah, very true. Very fair point. So this is what it looks like. That's what our bracket looks like overall. I could make this a little prettier. Let me do that real fast and get a little bit bigger on your screen. But that's what we're looking at for all of our brackets here. Should be a fun couple weeks. Everybody still with something to play for. Don't change that channel, as the announcers say for some reason still. But everything happening here with a lot of implications, as to picks, as to who gets this pick, whether or not someone's going to even have a pick this year, and who's playing for that money. So, any final thoughts from either of you guys in terms of really anything for that matter?
I'm just gonna say that these Buffalo Princesses are still Diamond Dogs.
Okay. The mask is still on. It's incredible. Unicorn. Final
I can't
thoughts.
follow that up, man. I just hope we see some big scores, and honestly, I'm probably rooting for K-Migs too. I don't want to see Cam win twice in a row, so that would be insufferable, just like the Cowboys.
Yeah, very much so. All right, that'll do it for us this week. Looking forward to next week. I think currently what is planned for next week is Cam and I are going to do an interview, or Cam is going to interview me, since I'm the other seed. We'll see if that still happens or not. Baby is showing up by his choice or not on Wednesday. And we're going to the hospital Tuesday night. So I don't know what will happen next week. So we'll keep you guys posted on my end. Code is obviously welcome to do things as well. But we'll keep you guys posted. But good luck this week. Unicorn Code, good luck this week. Unicorn, good luck to us next week. And we'll see how this thing shakes up. Thanks for your time, guys.